Welcome. If you're just joining us, this is Firecrackers, and we're just about to get started. So, my first question will go to you, Doctor. We see the likes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we see the likes of Samuel Abunda, Dele Momodu, Yahya Bello, and the likes. Are you impressed with these faces you've seen so far, or are these the faces you feel Nigerians are pleased to see?
It's a rather challenging question. Well, maybe somewhat challenging. Well, it's not. I like to be frank. I like to be specific. I prefer to hit the nail on the head and say the way I feel it, and the way they say the way I see it. Well, the terrain, political terrain, is replete, as it is with political aspirants who do appear to me to be tired.
Tired, you say?
Tired mentally and physically, and do appear to me to have been overcirculated. And I am not convinced that that the crop of politicians that have emerged, are telling Nigerians what they should be telling the Nigerian people on how to recreate the country. The problems are fundamental and huge and far-reaching. We need a new political leadership that would think outside the box, that would articulate and re-articulate new strategies and new tactics to redeem the Nigerian state.
Okay, so from what you're saying, is it safe, if in fact, that you feel the ones contesting now are old school?
Well, I wouldn't use, I'm a political scientist, a social scientist, an academic. I wouldn't use a pedestrian word, rather pedestrian words with due respect to old school. But I said they're tired, in my view, mentally, physically. And they're also tired mentally in the sense that the ideas are not new, and they don't prefer new ideas to reconstructing the Nigerian state and economy. I rather prefer some members of the political class that could think, think the 21st century, and articulate ideas that reflect new realities, and new challenges and new contexts, and who could deal with those within the context of the global competitive milieu.
Okay, I'm still going to come back to you, but Honorable, do you share his views?
I think I'm a bit different from what Doctor has just said. Because one, we're still going to get to see a lot of people coming out. These ones have shown their confidence, and that is why they've been able to come out to tell Nigerians that they are ready to go into the race for the presidency of Nigeria. If Doctor said they are tired, I don't really understand, because looking at the people that have come out, including the younger ones, because I know there's a lady that came out too, I think the race have just started. And looking at the area of the people that have come out, I think they mean business. No one can say Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not serious. No one can say Dele Momodu is not serious. No one can also say that the younger ones that are there too are not serious. You see, though Doctor said they have not told Nigerians what we need to hear. Yes, no one has said anything yet than just signifying intention. The time is not there yet to really tell us precisely what their programs are, what agenda they have for Nigeria, and all sort of things. Now, they're still talking to their parties. They're not talking to Nigerians yet. They're talking to their political parties. And I can tell you that the people, the Nigerians that are going to select the candidates in the political parties are not really that much, because not many people that sit back and complain and talk about this political class are registered members of political parties. So I think it's the right time for Nigerians to realize that we do not just need to wait for the general election. Let us join political parties. When we join political parties, it gives us that opportunity for us to be able to select the best of hands.
Okay, I think that one will be tied to the case of the indirect and direct primaries, which we'll still be going to. So we'll just have to leave that for now, leave that cooking for the meantime. So, Doctor, I think to come back to you. Yes. I would like to know the types of candidates you would like to see emerge. Okay, not even candidate now, the type of people you like to see show interest for the seat of presidency.
Well, before I do, I'd like to make this very quick point. The aspirants might be talking to their parties, but we should bear in mind that sovereignty lies with the Nigerian people. I do not understand why an aspirant is declaring and whoever is visiting the presidential villa, it's unprecedented. I didn't understand the basis for it. That wasn't the scenario in the Second Republic. I was in secondary school in the Second Republic. I was old enough to witness it, and I witnessed it. Okay? I'd rather prefer serious and pro-Nigerian people aspirants that would talk to the Nigerian people, that would declare the intentions to the Nigerian people, not to be president and not to make it appear that the president is a monarchical president. He's equally democratically elected. The sovereignty lies with the Nigerian people. So may I ask, what is the other question? Sorry, let's keep in mind.
That is the type of faces you would like to see.
Well, the kind of faces, well, the type of faces.
Yes.
Well, it's a rather difficult question. Do you know why it's difficult?
Oh, please enlighten us.
I have a different attitude, politically and ideologically. I belong to the left. You know what? Our politics is convoluted and seriously perverted. We're not discussing what we ought to be discussing. Ironically, you know, a far-right, you know, group, Afeniferiat and PANDEF and the Middle Belt Format had insisted on addressing the Nigerian question, the national question before elections. Though it might appear difficult, it might appear unrealizable. But the point is, there are too many problems confronting the Nigerian state. And here we're here discussing election, we're here discussing presidential candidates and aspirants within the perverted bourgeois arrangement that we're not certain will endure.
So, Doctor, when you say perverted,
yes,
could you please explain to us what exactly you mean by that?
How do I mean by perverted political arrangement? Well, one, the political space is heavily monetized, you know, and most of the political parties are not rooted in the people, they're rather rooted in godfathers, you know, and that explains why members of the political class are arrogant and unaccountable to the Nigerian people, and will rather scorn and show contempt and disregard to the Nigerian people. Okay, you know. Thirdly, you know what? The elections, elections have been characterized by indifference, you know, and withdrawal of the Nigerian people, which samples, you know, the fact that, you know, the democratic process has not elicited interest of the Nigerian people, but rather it has led to alienation and withdrawal. And what we have most of the time are minority elected governments, where 80 million Nigerians, you know, are registered to vote, and less than 30%, 32-33% are voting for these supposed leaders. You know, most of the leaders we have are fringe leaders. They're fringe leaders, they really do not represent, you know, the Nigerian people in the concrete senses, in the concrete sense of it. You know, so what faces are we talking about? Well, I rather find it difficult to tell you the faces, because I can see the faces, except I'll talk utopia now. I rather prefer a face that is knowledgeable, you know, on the 21st century issues. I rather prefer a face that will not consolidate poverty and alienation. I rather prefer a face that would shift from the status quo antebellum. The status quo antebellum has further underdeveloped the Nigerian state. And I get irritated when any aspirant will get on the screen and we're talking about consolidating poverty, you know, and underdevelopment, and structural disequilibrium and insecurity. I really do not understand. I'm not impressed.
Okay, so doctor is not impressed and is not hiding that at all. So honorable, doctor mentioned something about the money-driven political system. Do you agree to the thought that because it's money-driven, it might hinder some aspirants from showing up?
Yeah, I won't totally subscribe to that. Yes, I want to agree to a large extent that our democracy is very expensive. And who made it expensive? The people, the Nigerians, not the politicians. Because if a politician brings money to you, you have the right to reject. You do not ask for money.
Okay, but do you also agree that the Nigerian system, the way it is right now, it's not really encouraging for someone to turn down what is being offered
when you talk about Nigerian system, who made the Nigerian system? The people in Nigeria made the system what it is, not necessarily the government. You see, let me say this. I have participated in elections before, twice, and I know what it is. I was working in industry before deciding to take the plunge into the political space. And why did I do that? I didn't look at money then, whether it was going to be costly or not. No, because I didn't even have that so-called money at that particular point in time. But I decided to take that plunge because I didn't want to continue to be an armchair critic. I didn't want to sit back and continue to complain. You see, I decided to join so that I could make my voice to be heard, so that I could put my own contribution forward, so that I could make that change that I want for Nigeria and Nigerians to come to bear. And that is the problem we have. Doctor mentioned about 80 million Nigerians registering and very few people voting. Yes, if we don't shift, I mean we, Nigerians, if we don't shift, definitely, if you leave everything in the hands of the fools, they will definitely put a fool there for us. So meaning that it is high time. We do not just continue to beg for a better society. We need to join to make that society a better place for all of us.
Okay, now let's look at it this way. From what the doctor has said, he said he's not impressed at all with the faces that have been showing up. So this is I quote this now. Until 2023, we've not seen faces that we like. So are we just to vote for the ones we don't trust? Because we just want to vote about 80 million people registered for votes, and we have to exercise that right. But none of the people they are to our liking. What do we do then?
See, the fact of it is this. I have said it earlier. We're still going to have a lot of people coming out. As at now, we may not be able to make a very good judgment of what we are going to have eventually. But we know what we want. What do we want? It's not about faces. It's about the brain. And what is that brain? Experience. It is that experience. Who can we trust? Can we put the trust of Nigerians and Nigeria in his hands or in our hands? Someone that can take us forward from where we are, not necessarily changing the parameters, but working on the parameters that we have, improving on it, and making it better. You understand? It's just like you wanting to make a building. Someone has made the foundation, and you have just one land. So you have to make a decision. Do you uproot that foundation, looking at the resources you have, or you correct that foundation and build on it? And I think we need someone that understands not just the politics of Nigeria, but the problems and challenges of Nigerians. And that is what we need. So, and from the people that have come out, I think to a large extent, some of them do. Some of them do. They've been players. Some of them have been players in this system. And I think they understand. All of us too as Nigerians know what we want. So what we just need to do is to encourage ourselves. If you have the capacity to go there, make yourself available. If I have capacity to go there, make myself available, and let's give choices to Nigerians to make.
Okay, you mentioned identifying the problem of Nigeria.
Yes.
And from my survey so far, the problem of Nigeria means different things to different people.
Definitely.
One person would say corruption, one person would say leadership crisis, one person would say insecurity. But to you, what are Nigerian problems?
We have a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Security challenges are there. Our education system is there. Even our politics is also there as a problem. Politics as a problem because not all of us are involved is a problem. Economy is there, a problem. So we have a lot of problems that we need to tackle. But you see, one thing I don't want to hear, which I expected doctor to say, is the fact that I don't want anybody amongst all these aspirants to come out and tell us, I have a 7-point agenda, 10-point agenda, and all stuff. No, that is not the solution to our problems. See, if you have several problems in Nigeria, nobody amongst everybody can solve the whole problems of Nigeria. So take one that is so important. If you take the problem of security and power, if you make those two your priorities, I think we will go a long way to resolve a lot of problems. You can't expect any business to exist and perform where there is fear of insecurity, where we do not have power system that is working. And the little that we have is also very expensive. So you do not expect any business to survive in that environment. So let anybody that is so serious about solving Nigerian problems to come and say that, okay, fine, I am going to tackle the problem of insecurity and I'm going to tackle the problems of power. Every other thing will follow.
Okay, well, that is brilliant. So now my next question is to Doctor. You said you wanted a face who is very familiar with the 21st century, how things operate and all that. Now, would you say that the Nigerian youth would be the best for this position?
Yeah,
the one who is conversant with the 21st century and how things operate within it?
Well, I would like to make a rebuttal.
Okay.
Yes, a rebuttal, and then I'll respond to your question. The Nigerian people, I should make the rebuttal for prosperity. The Nigerian people did not make the parties expensive, did not monetize the political party or the political space. The political class did. Nigerian people do not sell the forms for 10, 20 million. Nigerian people do not make over shows,
But
to
Doctor,
sell,
if you have to look at it this
to
way,
sell votes.
the person who is selling that form for 10, 20 million is
Yes.
still a Nigerian.
No. But we're differentiating now. Voters and the political class.
Okay.
There is a political class. And we're insisting that the mainstream political class are extremely bourgeois and far from the Nigerian people. Do you know what it takes? I had also been in politics. I was vice chairman in my zone for the AD, in the late 90s. Okay? I didn't join the AC, I didn't join the ACN and the rest of it. I'm still a member of a political party. I'm a member of the Socialist Party of Nigeria. And I've been in the National Conscience Party. Though we categorize as minor parties, but we'll see in 15, 20 years how far the minor parties will go and how far the seemingly majority party will go. I insist that Nigerian people did not monetize, did not embourgeois the political party. The political class did, and deliberately so, deliberately so, to retain political power and to disempower those who did not have those who did not have economic resources. Okay? I like to situate, referring to your question, I like to situate that discussion within context. Okay? I've been referring to ideas, new constructs, new perspectives. But we should situate it within context. There should be a structural and institutional framework. The extant structural and institutional framework is jaundiced and can be relied on for a sustained democratic process. I'm thinking beyond 2023. Let's not worry about this jaundiced political class in Nigeria. Nigeria is immersed in serious economic and political quagmire, and we know it. And we're almost becoming a moribund country to the extent that some scholars are describing Nigeria as a fragile state and almost a failing and a collapsing state. And suddenly we're in 2022. And we're pretending those problems do not exist anymore. And we're at a trajectory now where we're discussing elections. And we're pretending those problems will be solved by the tired brains, and the tired legs who are dominating the space at the moment.
I'm sure they will disagree with you because some of them might feel, the context of old age is sometimes what you feel on the inside.
You know what?
The person at 80 might feel you're very young.
Let me argue further.
Okay.
You know, I'm a radical intellectual, and I appreciate that. You know, there could be older progressive minds, etc., etc. The question generally, literally, might not be age. We had Ronald Reagan, we had Margaret Thatcher, we had Putin, we still have Putin in Russia. Putin is one of the oldest strategists on world affairs, okay? So how old was Karl Marx and Lenin and Stalin and Trotsky when they were postulating on Marxism, you know, at a point in time? They were not very young men. But, you know, the greater emphasis on ideas and philosophies and world outlook, okay? I'm saying that, you know, ironically and tragically, the ideas are old, and the ideology is equally old. Because the ideology of the mainstream politicians in Nigeria is not the type that will rescue Nigeria from neo-imperialism and economic doldrums.
Okay, so do you feel like the Nigerian youth might be an answer to all this?
You're making it the problem deeper. You know, I have issues. I have issues with Nigerian youth.
Okay.
You know, what aspect of the Nigerian youth? The Nigerian youth is still not clear. It's not, we need clarity on how to proceed, on how to wage the struggle, and who should struggle, and what should be the purpose, the reason, the tone of the struggle, and the end of the struggle, and so on and so on. The answers, for instance, have been characterized as a movement. I'm a member of a mass organization, and we had a debate about it a few days ago. NSAS was not a movement. It wasn't a movement. I'd rather describe it as a protest, or maybe insurrection. Yes, they had good reason, they had good grounds, they were agitated, and so on and so forth. But you know what? It does appear the youth is not coordinated. And the youth is not serious about and do not understand the purpose of political power. The youth you talk about will rather tweet on Twitter and will not vote in elections. That is not power politics. The youths are not members of political party, but the youths will be joining political parties. Let me share this with you. I joined my father to the meetings of the defunct Unity Party of Nigeria. In, when was it? Yes, in the late 70s and the early 80s. Yes, the defunct Unity Party of Nigeria. I joined my father. He was a member, you know. But the youth these days are not interested in political parties. They're not interested. They discuss political issues. But they're not interested in political parties. They're not interested in building structures. They rather sit, you know, in the sitting rooms, in the living rooms. They're rather comfortable with making comments. They're not organizing enough. They should better organize.
Okay, so honorable.
So, sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
1 second. Some of the youth we have, essentially I'm a teacher, you know, do not read the newspapers, do not read the magazines, could not tell you the channel of the local government is, and will not be interested in political party or political meeting, or even challenging the councillor, you know, who has disappeared after winning elections and the rest of it. So what happens? What's the percentage of the youth population? Ask CDD, ask YAGA, ask Electoral Reform Network, what the percentage of the youth population has been in previous elections since 2003.
We always have a record of apathy from the youth. But now, Honorable, when you hear Nigerian youth, what first comes to your mind for presidency now?
Yeah, let me say this clearly. Doctor has said a lot about Nigerian youths, and I'll just make an addition. And he has actually said it all, in the sense that, yes, you have Nigerian youths that sit, watch, and agitate, but they are not participants. You understand? If Nigerian youths really want a change, the kind of change they want, they will get involved. They really need to get involved right from beginning to the end. Not at the tail end, but right from beginning. And what I mean by right from beginning is that they need to join political parties. Is it that you join the existing ones or you form new ones? and understand how it works. Make sure your voice is heard. Make sure that you participate, and make sure you are available. Call your friends and educate yourselves on the kind of political space you want, on the kind of leadership you want. You see, we do not want the type of Nigerian youth that will only shout and they will be in their various rooms when electoral matters are being discussed. We do not want Nigerian youths that will be in their sitting rooms or in their various rooms looking at how they are going to make money rather than getting involved in how their future will be determined in Nigeria. So it is high time. We will continue to say that the youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. But that tomorrow may never come unless they join today. You understand? They need, and that is why the adage says, the way you lay your bed is the way you sleep on it, you lie on it. So they need to join now, get involved in political activities. If they are not comfortable with present political structures, let them form their own. If the Nigerian youth believe that they had the majority, that is an advantage. So call yourselves together and change the foundation. Create an avenue for yourself to be able to change Nigeria to what you want it to be. And that's the only way. You must get involved before you can complain. And if you are not involved, there's no need for anybody to complain. All of us must know how our lives will be determined by someone that we are putting in place. So it shouldn't be that, is it not just the youth alone, even the elderly ones, even the well-to-do, the educated elite, the elites are not also very well informed and involved in all this. People tell you that, oh, why do I need to go and vote? They already know the winner. They know how to do it and those sort of things. It's possible that your voice alone may make a change to happen.
Okay, definitely. So the youth and everyone in Nigeria has been charged. And I feel this won't be completed if we do not talk about women participation. You know, just recently, the Gender Equity Bill faced Waterloo in Senate. And do you feel Nigeria is even ready for a female president? Are we ready?
No, we're not. Far from it. Far from it. The cultural, religious, regional limitations. Yeah, we're far from it. You know, I appreciate the sentiments on the gender parity and gender question. I'm not a masculinist, but the gender question, in my view, is not, it's not pursued vigorously by women. The divisions within the women organization is huge. You know, they're pursuing powers and positions and privileges. You know, and they're also pedestrian in their attitude to politics. They rather take the crumbs, you know, and they do not insist on the substance. Maybe I should talk about the affirmative action, you know. How many states respect or conform to the affirmative action? Does the presidency conform to the affirmative action in terms of political representation for women? Do women challenge the non-compliance to affirmative action? Do they insist on it, and so on and so forth?
But do you agree that it might be because it is deeply rooted in the culture? That's why we're having this.
No, well, you know, I said that in general time, but I'm more specific now. Okay. Yeah, affirmative and so on and so forth. Well, the point again is, even if, well, there is affirmative action, but you know what? The ruling class will not be Father Christmas, you know, and will not throw the officers and the women if they're not asking for it and agitating and protesting and organizing.
Well, I would say they're
not protesting and organizing enough. They're not doing enough. They could do better. You know, they could do better. You know, where is women in Nigeria? Women in Nigeria is moribund, if not defunct. And the proliferations of fringe women groups asking for all kinds of benefits, you know, and they agitate for 2-3 days, 1 week, you know, post-Beijing, and they keep quiet, and the masculine, you know, throw crumbs, and they accept, and they go to bed,
But do you feel like that is not just gender specific now? Because that is like the situation of Nigeria. We protest for a few days, crumbs get thrown at us, like you said, and then we just recline and then just watch everything play out.
But in this case now, I'm discussing women. I'm specific on women. I'm doing a characterization. You know, I suppose the attitude to the gender parity struggle is defective. You know, the women, you know, thrive on emotions. They thrive on emotions, you know, and the less intellectual and the less political and politically organized about the matter.
Doctor, that is a bold accusation, I must say. Hey. That's very bold.
Hey. See, I consult and work for women groups, and the women groups stopped inviting me, you know, when I became critical of the groups. Women should not sit in the homes and the kitchen and act and expect to be offered commissioner. How many women were in the trenches when the parties were struggling for elections? How many women contributed to funds of the parties? These are issues that will determine who gets what. I know it is not the best. Affirmative action and XYZ percentage of offices will not be thrown at women. That's the point of making. The women should work for it. They're not working sufficiently enough. I'd like to make this point, Joe. Within the context of the bill in the National Assembly, I know, but they're not particularly sensitive, you know, and it's political, it's whatever, you know. The northern fraction of the Nigerian political class is rather sensitive to the question of parity, you know, and they do not think that gender parity exists, you know. And that explains why some women are working at dropping the idea of parity, at least to get the bill sailed through some other time. There are cultural limitations. There are ethnic limitations, particularly, you know, cultural and so on. The question is, how soon could we transcend those limitations? If you ask me, wow, it might not be too soon. I'd rather prefer that the women, you know, should be more strategic. Maybe rather than ask for gender parity when they're disempowered politically, economically, and legally, maybe we should ask for greater women participation rather than gender. Gender parity might not be visible too soon.
And I want to ask Honorable, do you feel like women too are too emotional to rule, just like
no, just a minute. I didn't say to rule. I said in canvassing their positions, their arguments.
Okay. So do you share those sentiments, though?
Let me just simply put it this way. I think the women in Nigeria, most especially, are not taking benefit of their size and population. And as Dr. rightly put it, they thrive on emotions. I'm surprised that any woman will be talking about disparity or fighting for something that you have already. No, they are like fighting for something they have. You have the power, and you are begging for it again.
Okay, so
and
the power is the
identification
of the Constitution and asking for equality.
Definitely. What inequality exists? It doesn't. Even from statistics. Putting myself forward for this position. Let all women gather together and vote for her, and let's see whether they will win or not. So why should you fight for what you have? And that is the problem with women. They need more of education. they need to educate themselves. They are very well educated in terms of normal education. But in terms of political structure, political powers, Dr. says something and I'm going to agree with that. When men are putting themselves forward to form alliances, to form political parties and all stuff, how many women do you have there? They sit back, they are being used by men, and at the end of the day, you are asking for equality. When you already have, in terms of number, you even outnumber the men. So that is the problem. When you have women, you see, when you have women that are putting themselves forward, these women that are there, that are in Nigeria, do not have confidence in those women that are putting themselves forward. If they do, let them go ahead.
So do you feel like it's like it's women type of situation?
Most likely.
Okay.
Yeah. And not until they decide, the women themselves decide on what they want, they won't be there.
Okay, so definitely we have to give kudos to Khadija Okunu Lamidi. She's the first woman
To have come out.
Yes, to have come out to declare interest for the